Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Jordan, with Conquer Trading and Investing. And we are getting right now to begin our live New York session, looking at the market, looking for trade setups and managing existing trades. I'm going to start off with the calendar this morning. We have tomorrow out of on the US dollar, out of the United States, the FOMC meeting minutes. This will be a big market event because it will give insight into how the Fed is thinking about any further rate cuts. And it looks like they're going to be on pause for a while now. That's probably affecting gold in the near to intermediate term. We also have some numbers out tomorrow morning on Canadian dollar, CPI numbers. I don't know whether or not that's going to be too market moving or not. Let's take a look, and let's start with gold this morning. Gold is looking good here. You could see here in the daily time frame that gold has come up overnight and has tested again this resistance we have up ahead. It made a higher high than it did 4 trading sessions ago and is since selling off. Let's see what that looks like on a lower time frame. I'm going to check out the 8-hour time frame and look at that. That looks good here. There is a good short entry during London right here. Price is near it. I'm actually in a few different trades, so I'm going to stand aside at the moment on this. I'm going to come back to this though and see what develops a little later in the session after the New York Stock Exchange opens in about 30 minutes. And maybe come back and look for a possible entry on this. It looks nice. You have this long move down here, the break of this rising channel, and then you have the breakdown, and now you have the pullback to resistance, which is tested once, twice. So this looks like a good trade. It looks like the trend down might resume on gold. I'm going to look over to the Euro US dollar. And this is kind of ever since this is kind of in no man's land right now, right? We have an inside bar developing. We are actually dead center between yesterday's price range, and we're kind of sitting right now on this support. You see, this was the support, broken, resistance, broken, support, broken through, and now again, this is, well, you could actually call this resistance that it's at right now until it breaks through. I won't look for longs until I get above this resistance line right here. I have red at 1.1106, right around that area. If the bulls are able to regain this level, I'll then look for the first pullback, and then I'll definitely be looking for longs. Pause 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. We're back. And I just wanted to say good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone who's joined in. Good morning, Raj. Hope you're all doing well. I want to drop down to the 8-hour because I am still looking to get short this pair. And you can see the reason I'm looking to get short is for a number of reasons. First of all, I'm below this resistance up ahead over here. So I like that. Again, I have this sell off here. This is a nice pullback into it to resistance level. I do have short orders placed right now. If the low of a previous 8-hour price bar is taken out, I will then be getting short. Also, additionally, from looking at this with you this morning, I also see that right now we are also at a resistance level. You see the support over here, right? And then so we're at minor resistance right here. And then we have one above us. So if we do resume downwards, I'm looking to get short on this pair. Those orders are already in. US dollar, Japanese yen is a little bit trickier. Okay, so you can see right now that price is currently barely positive on the day, right? But you do see that we are trading off of this rising wedge, off of the support here of the lower channel. And if you drop down to the 8-hour with me here, this would be an aggressive entry. Okay, I took it right here overnight during London, my trade triggered. I have my stop loss over here below this price bar right here, because if price comes down here and takes this out, I'm dead wrong on the trade. And not only that, we're way outside the channel. And we're probably all looking to get short. I don't know if that will happen or not, unless the trade deal really falls apart, unless those December tariffs get raised. We will see. So I am long right here. I have my stop down here. We'll see how that develops. Let's keep it moving. I also wanted to go move first over to the Euro Japanese yen. And you can see that this pair is also bouncing here off of this support. The top of this blue box right here is that support line we have in here. And we're in the lower half of this channel. It's not like this is the entry down here. I didn't take it because it wasn't pulled back further enough. You see here, we tested the lower end of the channel. Here we didn't. I mean, that's a bullish sign, moderately bullish sign, but this support held and price bounced off. I didn't get that trade. I got into it again right here. At the same time that US dollar Japanese, same session, that US dollar Japanese trade triggered long. I triggered long over here. And my stop is right here below, right around, I think it's 119.20. Right, so it's quite a distance. That stop is about, I believe it's 2 ATR. I have a really small size position because the stop loss is really far away. Right, I had another option of having the stop closer over here. If I did that, I chose this one. I chose to give it the room. I chose to have it. If I get stopped out now, it's because probably this channel is also going to break. And so I went with a smaller size position and a really far stop loss. US dollar, Canadian dollar. We have tomorrow morning the CPI out of there. This is interesting. Just looking here on the daily with me, we had this line here. This greenish line is a support line we drew in. Price penetrated it earlier today and is since trading back above. You could see this pair tends to wick out a lot. Just glance over at it and you see these long wicks up and down all over the place. It's kind of the personality of the Canadian dollar and how it trades. You see that happening right now. So I'm curious what that looks like on the 8 hour. Because we have a long developing here. Definitely have a long because we're coming off of this support right here. The only issue is that we do have the lower end of this blue box is a resistance level, right? It's a light resistance level, but you're taking the trade if you get into it at the resistance level. Although the take profit would not be until you came up and tested this this broken trend line right here, which was support all the way up. And once it broke, that's now going to be resistance on the way back up. So what we're seeing here is, that's iffy, right? You have the buy, you have the true trend positive, you have the criteria with the entry CCI oversold against the uptrend, but you kind of, there is that little resistance right above a head. It's not very clean. Let's keep it going. Australian dollar, US dollar, what happened here overnight? I noticed as soon as the news came out on this pair, as soon as the meeting minutes were released on this pair was selling off last night during Asia. And now I see that we've had a complete reversal. Look at this bullish engulfing happening right now. What does that mean? Well, I know since that we look at this pair day to day that my long-term plan or my near-term plan is I'm looking for a test of this trend line down here, which was broken. So this should be my resistance. And I want to lean off to sell off there, right? So we're getting closer, that means. Let's see what happens here as we look at the 8 hour. And yep, you can see that I'm in the downtrend. Do have trade criteria right now, right? With the entry CCI pullback. I'm just gonna, I am waiting. So this looks like sometime in the next 24 hours, it could provide a possible short, right? That's all I see right now. I see that we're getting close to this resistance. Anywhere right now as soon as price starts resuming downwards, this will be a good entry. This definitely goes on the watch list. I do have 4 open trades though right now, which is a lot. So I'm going to see what happens with those open positions and how this one develops before I take on any more risk. I want to make sure that it is a good setup or that my other trades are falling into profit. So let's keep it going. I got a trigger here on the pound US dollar, and I'm going to show you how I got into that trade and why. I spoke about it yesterday during the live stream that I was watching it. Breaking it down, everyone could see on the daily that we've broken out of this triangle pattern. It was consolidating price after this long up move. What's happening now? Let's move down to the 8-hour. And you could see here what happened was I didn't want to chase price up here. I waited for the pullback. I have my entry CCI, this blue line. This is the 3 period, the entry CCI. Once this was pulled down against the trend, I was looking for a long. My long triggered here during London, right? You see it triggered, and then since it sold off, okay? Now, my stop loss, again, this is a big one. This is a smaller position because my stop loss is pretty far down. It's 2 ATR down, and it's below here. It's right below. You can see this last spike down of the entry CCI right down there. I have my stop loss right down there, right? So I gave it room to roam here. The reason I decided to put it down there was because that was the last spike down of the entry CCI. And then I also I want to see, or I expect it's a reasonable probability that if this broken trend line here that caused the breakout, it could get retested. So I had to give this trade room. I had to go smaller on it, and I had to go with a larger stop. Same thing almost happening on the pound Japanese yen. So I want to look at that. It's the other position I have open. This looks a little more healthy today, at least we have a green candle on the day, right? Pound US dollar is red. Yep, close. All right, same thing though. So let's look at it. Drop down to the 8-hour. If I'm going too fast for anyone, please just let me know. Feel free to go ahead and post any comment, question, and then as soon as we get to it, I'll get to it. But I want to make sure everyone is on the same page and is able to follow along. Over here, we had nice looking breakout happening on the pound US dollar. Pound looked like it was healthy. This looked like it might be getting ready to break out of this long consolidation period. This might be the first pullback for the up. Kind of looks like it's not a cup and handle, but it's similar to a cup and handle, right? So right here, again, I triggered right here during London, and I had to put my stop down over here, right? I guess I don't know the exact price off the top of my head, but it must be right around 139.28. That's a far stop. It's 2 ATR. ATR is the average true range, so it's twice the distance that this pair normally trades in a full day. And again, well, this is a bit more tricky one. That stop could get taken out, and this could still hold. So I'm gonna watch those two closely and see what develops. Again, I don't have to wait for my stop to be hit. I could always get out of those ahead of time. Yep. That's good, Jeff. If you saw it on the sidelines, I'm very, very happy with that because that shows a lot of patience and it shows that you're looking for the good setups. And I would take that any day over just taking lots of trades, right? Specifically here on the pound US dollar, I definitely took this breakdown, which wound up getting stopped out. It was a false breakdown here. And then I showed patience. We broke out, still didn't chase it. Patience. And then I was waiting for that that trade criteria, right? And that first pullback, and now I'm on it. And as long as this trend line holds, it's going to be a good trade. If price continues to further consolidate, it could give a better entry closer to this. It's possible. But I definitely, ever since that was my last trade on it, I've been watching and waiting and waiting. There's my setup. I took it. Similarly here on the Euro US dollar, right? I've been waiting, and hopefully I get into the trade. It'd be great. But if not, that means that they were taking out this resistance here, and I'll be happy to get long. What else do we have going on this morning? We want to look at our friends, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. But first, let's look at the euro, Australian dollar. All right. Well, this is interesting. We've seen lots of appreciation on the Australian dollar. I'm curious to what exactly the story is. Yesterday, we looked at this and we said that what I was expecting was that these meeting minutes were going to reveal that the central bank was going to be on hold for a little while, that they believe things might be turning around. They might be seeing some signs of hope, and that we would see some Australian dollar appreciation. That's what we're seeing right now, is Australian dollar appreciation. I don't know if it fits my narrative. I'm not sure exactly yet. What came out of there. Again, I generally look at the charts and what's happening technically first, and then later I see what's going on, and I dig in deeper so that I'm aware of the full picture. But right now, I see that we have this blue box here on the daily, where we expect price to be hanging out, trading within this range, right? Below, if we break down out of here, then we're looking for sell strong again. That gets really bearish really quick. But right now, this looks like that this support, the bottom of this blue box is support. It looks like it probably will hold. And if it holds and price resumes up, that could be a good long trade. Definitely your risk is well defined. You know where you're wrong. You could just look at this last burst down here on the entry CCI, get your stop right over there. It's a tight spot. That's a tight stop. That looks like a good, healthy trade. I'm going to watch it further and see what happens. Nice. I'm going to get a quick look here at the New Zealand dollar also. Okay, they both look like they're perking up a little bit. The New Zealand dollar specifically, like it's taking another run at this heavy resistance. It hasn't been able to get over here. If it does, we could run. This is such a difficult pair to trade. We have, let's see, we're in the middle of November, and so we have, a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks before we find out what ultimately is going to happen regarding China and the US, whether or not they're going to sign a phase 1 deal, and whether or not the December tariffs are going to get kicked on. If they get kicked on, it's going to be a bloodbath. We're going to see definitely the Japanese yen appreciating like crazy. And Powell actually met with President Trump in an unscheduled meeting in the White House in his personal quarters. I guess it was the day before yesterday. And, I don't know what was discussed there. Perhaps they're thinking of putting on those December tariffs, and he was just trying to prepare the federal chairman. It's all speculation. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not looking to chase this to the upside just yet. I'd rather wait to see what develops here. And of the two, you could see that the Australian dollar, Japanese yen does not look as healthy as the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Why? You could see the New Zealand dollar is up towards the top, testing the highs here, right, of this resistance. So of the two, it seems to me that if the New Zealand dollar does break out, that's the one that's going to move more than the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, which is way below. The resistance is all the way up here, right? So this is trading much weaker of the two. This looks like it's looking for short opportunities. I got out of that trade. I never even took that trade. I canceled my sell order. If it would have got in, I don't know what would have happened. I probably would have been able to move my stop to break even because the trade would have been pretty nice into profit. I did the right thing by canceling that order. And now since price is breaking up, this is still looking for shorts, right? We got the true trend down. We have resistance right up here. It's near a support level, so it's a little shaky. There's nothing really too much there's no actionable trade here for me. I'm just gonna keep moving along. What I do see happening this morning and looks like I want to follow is what's happening with gold, right? I missed that entry, but it fits my criteria. I want to follow what happens, the next hour or so here, see if anything develops, because that looks like a nice short is developing after this additional test of this resistance overnight. And now the downtrend is resuming. If we do break even below 1461, it looks, see that over here? It looks like there might be a little bit of follow through down. And then I have the Euro US dollar. I am looking to see whether or not my short could get triggered. I have my short criteria in the downtrend up near the resistance here. So I'm looking for price to resume. I have my first area to look to take profit all the way down here. So that's a nice trade developing. Bitcoin does not look so good this morning. Let's take a look. I believe yesterday we had, Jeff had pointed out there was a possible zero line cross on the pound Japanese yen for the very easy and profitable trading strategy. And let's take a look. Yep. So they got you definitely got a zero line cross yesterday, a buy signal. And then today it's trading off a little bit. So it's possible you're going to get another zero line cross today. The loss on this, if you did, would be so tiny that I don't even, because the stop loss is all the way down here. It's like 1,500 pips away, right? So the position sizes are extraordinarily small. If you get stopped out on a zero line cross today, it must be like, I would imagine, like less than 0.1% loss. But that's good. You just want to keep following the zero line cross here. And if you do, you're going to wind up, first of all, catching the next big trend on this easily. And until it catches, you'll just take some really small losses. Of course, let me just keep talking about this. If you get a zero line cross to the downside here, though, right, your stop loss is going to be right here. It's going to be the high. This is the previous move. There's one price bar. Is going to be the high of this price bar, right? Plus the spread plus 1 pip. So if you get stopped out here, you're going to have a full loss of 1.8%. That's your full risk. You're going to have that full loss. Adversely, the trade doesn't need to go very far into profit at all for you to go ahead and take profits, right? You would need to move forward at all. So got to take all, when you're trading a system that has a set of black and white rules that's system based like that, you have to take all of the trades. So what else is going on this morning? Are there any other pairs that anyone else is looking at that I haven't? We'll take a look at Bitcoin in a second. I want to check in on that. We drew a channel in here yesterday. It's gone, but oil is trading towards the lower end of this channel now. Yep. Again, if the China trade talks fall through, you have a nice short developing on oil, and I tell you right now, we're going to break through this double bottom right here if that happens. Bitcoin. I want to take a look at Bitcoin on the 12-hour. All right, so it's not looking good at all. The only thing I can say, if you're looking at this with me right now, the only thing I could say is if you're using our Bitcoin strategy, if you're taking just the trend crosses and you're out of Bitcoin when it's below and in Bitcoin when it's above, right? If you're holding out for the big moves on both directions, you're happy you're on the sidelines right now because you belong on the sidelines. Price is just fallen off, and then it also would have kept you out of here. I know a lot of traders FOMO'd and bought in again up here. But let's see, it's broke below this support over here overnight, and now it's trading all the way down to 8,000. It doesn't look so hot right now, but I also noticed that a lot of retail traders that crypto Twitter is extraordinarily fearful and bearish right now. So that is a good sign, a bullish sign. So we'll see what happens. So how would impeachment affect the US dollar? Well, if the president were to be impeached, then I think we would see a large sell-off in the US dollar. And that's because probably, most likely, the leading candidate would be Senator Warren. And her policies are really anti-Wall Street and have to do with a lot of spending, a lot of government spending. She's talking about free medical aid for everyone, forgiving student loan debts, just spending a ton. Hold on one second. She's talking about spending just a ton of money everywhere, and with the extraordinarily large deficits that the United States is holding right now, spending that kind of money is just a recipe for disaster. But something could happen that where the president gets impeached, but right now it looks absolutely like a circus. They're holding impeachment hearings in secret with no witnesses, where no one's allowed to watch, with the whistleblower that was not who heard information secondhand. There's nothing really going on there that looks like the president will get impeached, but things could change quickly. And that's what would happen to the US dollar if any type of impeachment were to occur. All right, moving along. Let's see what is developing, because right now we have the New York Stock Exchange opening. It is 9:30 in the morning Eastern time. And I do expect the next 20 minutes to start revealing some movement, and it might offer an opportunity. Gold looks like a good play this morning. Again, I have 3 positions open, and then I have the open orders on the Euro US dollar. So I'm not looking to get in there and take a position on gold, and I'm not looking anywhere else right just yet. And the dollar index this morning, see the dollar just trading at support right here, right? So I'm expecting where this is going to resume upwards, and that will take the euro down with it, unless this breaks down here. If it breaks down here, we got a little bit more room to the next support level. Yeah, absolutely. That's right now, that's what it looks like. It looks like that the president is in no jeopardy whatsoever. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, like you could things like that. You could just get something crazy that comes out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, the president could get impeached quickly. And if it does not look good for the business climate in the United States. We're going to see a wealth tax. Basically, what they're looking to do is, let's see, I think they're looking for on billionaires to place a 2% tax, not on the money they make, on their total wealth, right? So, for example, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, who's worth, I'm giving estimates here, he's worth $140 billion. Had he had a 2% wealth tax on him this entire time, these last 20 years, he would be worth more or less somewhere around 30 billion today. You know, people like Paul Tudor Jones, the legendary trader Paul Tudor Jones, is saying if Elizabeth Warren is elected, you're going to see the stock market sell off enormously. I don't know that that's the case, though. When you hear things like that, I don't know. You heard if President Trump was elected that the stock market was going to sell off. The opposite happened. If she's elected, maybe the stock market's going to rally like crazy because it knows it's going to get all this free money pumped into the market. And, even the Venezuela stock market was, parabolic while the currency was collapsing. So, but the US dollar, it's going to be negative US dollar. Okay. So Jeff, that's good. All right, let's stay here. So spend some more time on the pairs that I'm actually going to be taking orders on, placing orders on. I know that trying to figure out how to do this because, those orders were placed last night. I guess it must have been around 9 or 10 Eastern time. And they were going for the London session. Everyone yesterday in the live stream, I'm figuring out how to do this, Jeff. I want to be able to do that. Or I want to figure out a way that everyone could have like a dashboard area where people could see the orders that I have live, whether they're placed on trades or they're pending orders. That might be the only way to do it because things are fluid. We all knew that this is the hard part for me, right? Those are the pairs that we looked at yesterday during the live session, right? Nothing new came up for me. I talked about the US dollar, Japanese yen, and how I was looking to get long here. If we bounced off that support, same thing on the euro, Japanese yen in the session yesterday. I really got into that, and that's the setup I took, the one that we were looking at. I didn't get the setup on the euro US dollar. I didn't get the trade triggered. That's the one I covered. I was looking short. And then similarly on the pound US dollar, we went over this in the live session. I said that's what I was waiting for to happen. Once the price started making a higher high, now that the entry CCI was pulled back, I would take that long. Right. So I guess I need some feedback on that, Jeff, how we could do that. All of those setups were discussed in the live stream yesterday. Those were the pairs that I was watching and waiting for. The only thing I could think of is having a dashboard area where you're able to see the trades that I'm taking, because any trade that I'm taking will have been covered, already in the live stream for that day. If I take it later in that day, it was because I was watching it and waiting on it. Does that make sense? Does that seem like what we need to do here? And right now, the only trade that I'm waiting on right now here is the Australian dollar, US dollar. I have live sell orders in. If price does go ahead and make a lower low of an 8-hour price bar, I will take that trade. I'm taking that trade because I have the true trend down negative. I have the entry side pull back away from it. And then I have this resistance right above me. It's a good setup if it triggers, or it's possible good setup. It's worth taking anyway. We'll see what happens. That's the only live trade I have. The other trade I'm in is in the pound US dollar, right? And I was waiting for this breakout. The breakout occurred. I didn't want to chase it. The entry CCI pulled back. I had my trade criteria and I was waiting for a price to make a higher high, which it did right here. That's my entry. And I'm currently in this trade. It's currently going against me a little bit here. I have a small position size because I have my stop all the way down here. you can see this last penetration to the downside of the entry CCI. My stop is right below that at around 1.2816. And that's about 2 ATR. It's far. I could always get out of that trade earlier, but I expect that this is going to hold as support. Good morning, Giovanni, or as it may be, good afternoon. Welcome. And I'm also in the pound Japanese yen, and it's the same play as the pound US dollar. I had my trade criteria on the first pullback here. I had the true trend turn positive here, and then I waited. I didn't want to chase price. You don't ever chase that breakout. Wait for price to pull back. The entry CCI gets oversold in the uptrend, and then price got me in here. You know, you could have a stop very close down here. I chose to give it room because of this nice consolidation. It looks healthy. If I take a loss in this trade, it's going to because this pattern really failed. My stop is, again, here's the last penetration to the downside of the entry CCI. My stop is below it there. It's 2 ATR. It's a far stop loss. So let's take a look at the pound US dollar first on the daily, and then we'll drop down to the 8 hour so we get a better look at her. And the question is whether or not I would be looking to take a short. So the first thing I see looking at the daily, and you always want to view things from the higher perspective to know what's happening. And we're in a clear uptrend, right? You see this large 1,000 plus pip move. And then since price had been consolidating that up move, right? Now I did take a short here on the breakdown of this pattern, and I got stopped out really quick on that pair, and then price came back into this triangle and it's since broken out. So you're only looking for longs right now, right? You're only looking for longs, and here's a little cheat you could use. Just go ahead and, you know, add the true trend to your chart, and you never want to trade against it. Or I don't want to say never. There are occasions. I'm going to get to the US dollar, Japanese yen. Jeff, I also took an entry on that, and the euro, Japanese yen. So we'll review both of those. And I did speak about them yesterday in the live stream. But maybe having a place where I could point to the point in the video where the setups are being discussed of the trades in play. Always looking to improve the experience for all of us. So here you could see that the trend is up. You don't want to take shorts. The only time you would look to get short this pair, or when you would look to get short this pair, would be on a breakdown of this breakout. We're currently in a breakout upwards, so you can't short it. You don't want to short that. That's trading against the trend and momentum. Now this pattern fails if, look over here, you have the breakout of this trend line here, right? Resistance, 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 broke out. I expect this to be tested perhaps, and if it's tested, hold as support. That's a good entry. The closer you get to that support is a good entry because your stop is tighter. You know it fails if it breaks. If you get a breakdown of this trend line right here, you have this trend line support down here, which was the low of this move over here. And you have this trend line over here from this rising trend line here. If you get a break of all of three of those, which would price would be somewhere around here, that is, you could start selling that pair. You had just had a breakdown of three support levels, all converging in on themselves. But right now you have three support levels. Price is most likely going to hold those three support levels. That's a lot of support, all converging in one area, right? So it is possible they break. If we look down at the Australian dollar, US dollar, over here, we were trading above this trend line and above the support, and we waited. We would have not sell until price broke below it, right? And we wait for that price to break through the support. Same thing here on the pound US dollar. Right now, price is trading above support on a breakout. That's crazy. You can't short it. There's no reason to short it. You want to take high probability setups where you have momentum and technical setups going in your favor, right? You're looking to get long here right now on this pair. Yep. So, okay. I mean, that's a good question. If anyone is asking a question, generally speaking, there are other people who have the same question. And you could, all you need to do is go into the indicators and go ahead and search true trend. I have it under my scripts, but it's the true trend here we're using, right? Conquer trading and investing. It's a modified CCI indicator, and it's using 2 periods, the 3 and the 70. The 3 is the entry CCI. So it's not another indicator. It's just also a, it's the 3 period CCI. And then here you have the 70 period CCI. All right. So it's all part of the same indicator. And the entry CCI we use, there is an excellent video on the channel that explains how the true trend works, how we use it for trading, explains it. It's a short, concise video. Absolutely. It's actually in the description of this live stream right here. If you go down into the description, you can watch that video, but it explains how this is used. The entry CCI shows us near-term price because you don't want to chase after price, right? Like a good example is over here. You didn't want to chase this breakout because you had price oversold in an uptrend. And that's why a lot of traders who are chasing momentum, they go ahead and they get into this trade and then price comes off. So you just wait until price is a little oversold against the trend you're looking to enter. Okay. Yep. And that's the right. So the BTC true trend is only used for trading Bitcoin or this specific strategy, right? Because we looked at earlier today in this live stream, the pound Japanese yen using the true trend BTC. Okay. And that is a different indicator. It's used specifically for this trading strategy right here, as well as for trading Bitcoin on the 12-hour time frame. That's the confusion. Do want to move forward to and just review again the US dollar Japanese yen because I took a long trade on this overnight. The reason I took this trade was because, you know, I couldn't use, and I spoke about this earlier in live stream yesterday. You could go back and watch that replay if you want to get a little bit better of an analysis. But the true trend is not really in play right here. It's spiking back and forth above and below the 0 line. I took this as a technical trade. We're in this rising channel. You could see this rising wedge, right? So I'm looking for, and I can't wait for a breakdown below it because that's going to be a nice trade if this breaks down to the downside. But until it does, I'm only looking to play off this support and I'm only looking for longs. So I went down to the 8-hour here and I'm just playing this purely off of the support line right here, expecting for this rising wedge channel to still hold. And you could see here, price made a higher high. That's the entry I said I would take. Once price made a higher high inside the lower bound of this channel, I'll look to get into it. I have my stop loss right over here at 108.20, right? If we trade outside this channel and close outside of it, we're looking for shorts. If I break this area here, I'm dead wrong on the trade. I'm breaking this big support going down to here, and I'm out of the trade. The Euro Japanese yen is very similar, so I want to review that with you. The reason why I got into this trade. Again, we're trading in this channel. So I'm looking to buy towards the lower bound of this and sell towards the top until the channel breaks. So this looked healthier yesterday. We were talking about this, what looks to be an inverted head and shoulders pattern possibly appearing. I talked about that the true trend was negative, but since this support was holding over here, and again, the better entry was down here, was not even looking for it at the time. This was the better entry off the support. But here, since we see price come back up, pull back into this still a buy zone, and is now resuming upwards. So I took that long here. We'll see what happens. Good morning, DJ. I don't trade oil. We looked at oil yesterday, so I have an idea of what's going on. I'm going to take a look at it right now. Just want to finish drawing in the channel that it's trading within right now. It's pretty clear. All right, it's not the best, but that's what it is. So this is really simple, and it's really simple, meaning the way that you want to trade this is from this channel. You have a rising channel, right? So you want to be buying as it gets towards the bottom of this channel and selling or taking profits towards the top, right? This is the sell zone. This is the buy zone. Anything else, there's nothing else to trade within this on oil, right? Long-term picture, we're in a global slowdown, a synchronized global slowdown. Do expect that. It's really interesting. We had all this news events when, the attack on the Saudi Arabia oil fields. This is the price. This is the right here. Oil spiked up here. It never went higher. It sold the news. And now it's trading back up in this channel. This is a bearish pattern developing. You're in this downtrend, right? Prices in a clear downtrend. Now you have this rising channel in the downtrend. So most likely what will happen is price eventually would break this channel and then is going to test down towards this 56 area and see if that holds or breaks. But until the channel breaks, you have to respect the channel, and you're trading within it, and you're trading by buying the support and selling the top. So it seems simple, and it is simple. That's how you want to trade it. Yep. All right, so I'm going to cover the target on the euro, Japanese yen. I'm going to explain, hold on. And the entry level for US dollar. Okay, I got everything now. I'm pulling up a video here. Greg, hey, I appreciate that comment, and thanks for joining us. I'm going to pull up a video right here at the live stream to show you. This is the current live stream we're in. If you scroll down right here, hey, thanks for those spreading that love, helping the YouTube algorithm see this video and show it to others. If you scroll down to the bottom here, you're going to see this powerful trend indicator, the best ever for trend trading. And if you know what, I need to put in here in the description, true trend. That'll be helpful for everyone. If you click on this video right here, though, it's going to give you a video overview of how the true trend works, how we use it. It's a really great video and be really perfect for you. And then if you have any follow-up questions, you could include them in the comments of that video, and I will answer them, or you could ask them here in the live stream. And then here you also have the download link for TradingView for the true trend. And then also on this video here, you'll have a download link for MetaTrader 4. Something that I definitely want to do with you all that I'm probably going to do today is I'm going to record a video on how to set up 8-hour charts on MetaTrader 4 so you can trade off of them. So be on the lookout for that. So before I get into the levels on the euro, Japanese yen, let me just cover that entry on the US dollar, Japanese yen. And my entry was, this was the live stream yesterday. And I said I was looking for playing off this support here. I was looking for price to make a higher high than the previous bar on the 8-hour. And then you could see it didn't occur on this price bar. It didn't occur on this price bar. It looked like we might be closing outside the channel here. It didn't happen, but during London overnight, my resting orders triggered up here. The entry was at 108.71, 108.72, right around there. So currently about 10 pips off of the entry, and my stop loss is down here. I put it down here. I think it's 2 ATR. It's far away. It's 108.20. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's 1.5 ATR. But either way, it is at 108.20, my stop loss. Now I want to cover the euro, Japanese yen. All right. Euro, Japanese yen, same thing. But my stop loss on here, I put my stop loss below. You see over here, you had this support, and then the support tested again. That's where my stop is. It's a little tight below it, but it's below it. It's at 119.20. That's where I have my stop loss. I kind of pictured also that if price were to trade down and violate that stop, it would be because this trend line is also going to be broken, right? Unless price spiked down right away, right? This trend line could hold. But by the time price gets to test this trend line, if it breaks, that means, does that make sense? Yeah. This over here was support. This is support. And then I have the trend line over here. So if that area breaks, it breaks 3 areas right there. So I'm definitely, the trade's wrong, obviously, but I didn't want to put a tight stop over here and then get shaken out of this position, because there's also a good chance that all across here, price can consolidate, right? And I didn't want to get stopped out in all of that. I wanted to be stopped out if I was wrong. And I'm wrong if price breaks below that 119.20 area. Hopefully that's not even a little too tight. You know, that could be just trying to get such a precise stop in there. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And not only that, I think to do now, this is still a valid trade on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, also both these pairs. But you also now have the opportunity to wait to see if price takes you back into it, right? You could just go ahead and start setting buy entries on the high of the previous price bars on the 8-hour time frame, because if price doesn't make that higher high and get you back into the trade, then you don't even want to be in it anyway, right? So, but you do have the opportunity to make those plays. You also have here as well too. This looks a little healthier. You have plenty of time here to take this trade. I got in on the first pullback over here of the support. Might not be the best entry. The Euro US dollar also is just still waiting. We have nice entry criteria here. We have very nice entry criteria. This is, as you can see, since the breakdown, this is the first adverse move in it, trading all the way back up. Right now, it's at this resistance, and you have this overhead resistance right here. So you know where your stop is. It's going to be right around there, right around 1.1111, because you know this is where we begin looking for longs if price if bull's able to regain that level. So lots of trades going, and the pound US dollar also. If you didn't get the setup that I got overnight, my entry here during London, you're going to get a better entry. You still have trade criteria. Every reason that I took the trade still exists, and you still have the opportunity to stalk this pair and wait to get in. Probably at a better entry than I got in. Absolutely, same thing on the Euro Japanese yen. Even better than the US dollar Japanese yen. Perhaps it looks healthier, but I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So I guess first of all, I hope that everyone is most importantly getting on the same page, so we're all on the same page. I want everyone, all of us, to be together, learning together, to know exactly what pairs we're looking at, why, what to do, how they can get into the trades. And if anyone has any questions or any instruments or pairs they want to look at as well, now that we've covered our ground, this is a good time to do it. Happy to do that always. It helps me. I'm learning. For example, oil. I wasn't following oil. Now I'm glad to be checking it and following that progress, because although I wouldn't play this channel, I'll play a breakdown of this channel. I don't really like to trade oil though, because it takes a lot of margin, and you know, it's just not my thing. gold might be giving a possible place for entry. Yep, I want to review this one really quick also. So on gold, it's clear that we're trading below this resistance up here. You have a little bit of fundamental news to throw into the gold trade, and that is, this move of gold, which was so beautiful technically. You could see this trend line broke. It's kind of what possibly happening right now in the pound US dollar. And then price came back and tested that support line, right? And then since it's run up, consolidated, run up again, and now it appears like it could be breaking down. Now, the reason for this move, though, was the Fed started cutting rates, a series of rate cuts. And now the Fed is talking about being on pause. So what's going to happen with gold? Gold probably needs further rate cuts, possibly. We also have not QE, not quantitative easing. We have full-blown quantity QE fewer happening right now. So it's tough, but it seems to me that it looks like gold is going to pull back into this buy zone at very least. But right here, right now, technically, we're trading below this resistance. We broke this channel to the downside. So we have a lot of negatives going on. And now with this trend negative here, price coming up and testing this resistance, price is right now at this entry that you could have took. Let's focus in on it. Right, you had a possible entry over here. And now you have one right here. You see the low of this price bar with the entry CCI pullback against the downtrend at resistance. This is the reason for taking the trade here and here. It's because you're trading at this resistance, right? And then price is now trading right at the entry and resuming downwards. It looks to be a valid entry, right? I'm not taking it. I'm in a few different positions, but it looks like a good setup. All right, we're about a half hour into the US Open, US equities. And I want to take a look at headlines. This is the main headline I'm seeing so far. Big gaps remain in the US-China trade talks. And that's it. Nothing else going on. The New Zealand dollar is the strongest today, while the Swiss franc is the weakest. And this headline over here is we're seeing the lowest ranges this year, right? We're seeing very narrow ranges for this year of 2019. Here's the volatility of the top G10 US dollar currency pairs. See back during the crisis, these enormously large ranges. And then you could see price now contracting all the way down here. What happens after you get markets consolidating? They expand, right? And if you go down here and you look at the other times the ranges were this low, you had 2 years in a row, and then you saw this giant expansion. Over here, same thing, from the low expansion, from the low expansion. So we don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be 2 years in a row, or tomorrow, but the next phase will be an expansion phase in ranges of currency pairs. This is why using the average true range is a fantastic indicator. Let me show you how it works. The average true range is you don't need to see it on your chart. So you could, let's say, you could push that window down. So it's really low. And then if you go into, for example, I go on yesterday's price bar. Let me pull up the window. If you look to the right, the bottom right in orange, you see that the ATR is 0.00459. All right, so round up, 4.6. That means the euro US dollar moves 46 pips in a day. Okay, and the reason why this is great or good to use is if you scroll back. I'm going to scroll back to 2008. All right, that's good enough. This is 2010. You could see the ATR here was 0.01196, rounding up to it was 120, the average true range. So this pair used to move 120 pips a day. So you can't use pips as a stop loss. You can't have, for example, I can't say that every trade I take, I'm going to use 50 pips, because depending on if the market is expanding or contracting, that doesn't help you. What helps you is using ATR as a stop. You could use half the ATR or a full ATR. So if you hear me speaking about using ATR, my stop loss is 2 ATR away. That means because this accounts for how the volatility of the currency pair is currently moving, instead of using a fixed stop loss of 50 pips, you could use a full average true range, and it's more helpful for being able to allow for the volatility of the market. Euro US dollar, where is my stop loss going to be? My stop loss is above this resistance I have up here. This is my line in the sand where if we break above it, I'm only looking for longs at that point, right? And because we have some nice room up here to roam. So my stop loss is, I believe it's exactly at 1.1112. Let me check though. Yep, that's exactly where my stop loss is. And then my first take profit is going to be down around this support area. And again, I will watch price over here. If it blows through this area with momentum, we're holding and looking much lower, all the way down here in this area over here. And then if price stalls out or starts bouncing, go ahead and take some profits. That would be a beautiful trade. All right. So the entry is so far going to be down here at, yep, at 1.1064. And then the stop loss is, that's 35. No, it's about 45 pips, 47 pips. And from where we are trading right now, that would be right. But Jeff, I'm not going to take that, and I'm not going to take that trade unless price gets me into that trade. There's possibility we just keep rising, right? You could see price has been rising for over a week now, or no, over eight bars. Since we bounced off the support, price has been rising up, and there's nothing that tells me that it's going to stop rising even until it gets any closer to this resistance. The only way I'll enter the trade is if price shows me different, if I start making a lower low. The first signal that price is resuming the downtrend is if it makes a lower low than the previous price bar. That's my entry. Now, what often happens is you get what would be a signal, and then price come off, and then another entry or a third before the price actually reverses. So it's not always clean. Clean would be like the first lower low, price came back down, right? Well, for example, over here, just to show you what I'm talking about, this we were selling here and we were looking to take profit here, but you could see price made a higher high, came back down, made a higher high, and it was on the third higher high that price probably moved over. So that, just reverse that thought process. That's what could be happening on the downside. But the first possibility for an entry is when price makes the lower low. I will not take it beforehand because otherwise I'm just being too preemptive. What else do we have going on? What's happening with gold? Seems to be rising back up a little bit towards that support. That's giving the possibility for a nice entry if price resumes downwards. Adversely, if you miss the entry over here, now price is back at entry, you could get short this pair. You could also drop down to a lower time frame and just look for price to make a lower low on a lower level to get into that trade to the downside. That's it. I know that we've covered everything that I need to know for what's going on today. I'm aware of the trades I'm in. I'm aware of the setup I'm looking for on the Euro US dollar. I'm watching gold. I'm not involved, but I'm watching it because it's a valid setup right now. It's a good one. If anyone has any questions, absolutely let me know. What's tricky here about the euro Japanese yen, and again, I took a long right here during the London session, and I explained why I took it and why I'm holding it. I will let you know if I get out of the trade earlier than my full stop loss. But if we start trading down over here, we could get a better entry long. It's quite possible down closer to these lines of support, which is a better entry. But I like the trade. It's just why I took it, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the right one or a good one. Same thing with the pound US dollar. Hopefully I get a perfect technical resumption on the first pullback out of the breakout. But doesn't mean it's going to happen. And that's why my stop is where it is. My stop is below here, below this last penetration of the entry CCI. It's also down towards the bottom of the support over here, not below it, towards the bottom of it. If price trades all the way down past this breakout, past this trend line, the trade's wrong and I'm out of it. It doesn't mean some of you can't get a better entry a little lower. If you looked at that past gold trade we looked at, where it had a similar pattern, let me show it to you. Right? You had this breakout and then pull back all the way to test that trend line. And it wasn't until price broke out, even tested down again, and then it took off. So it doesn't mean that you're going to get, doesn't mean that, don't ever have that like fear of missing out, that you're just taking the trade because you're just afraid of being left behind, because more often than not, you'll get better entries. At the same time, you can't get frozen. You can't be afraid to pull the trigger. All right, let's say, for example, that you didn't get into the euro Japanese yen. How would you be looking to get into the trade here? All right, so I mean, two things. My entry, and the reason I took my entry was laid out very well in yesterday's live stream, but I took it once price resumed upwards, taking out the previous high of an 8-hour price bar, coming off of this support over here, which was right over here at 120.40, probably at 120.42, right? Price is below it right now. So you could technically enter at market if you wanted to be in the trade that I'm in with a better entry using the same stop loss I have down below here at 119.20, 119.18. And you have to have your position side for that distance of a stop loss, you have to have your position size set accordingly, which would be smaller. But if you want to wait now here for price to give you any type of signal that it's resuming upward again, because price is falling down right now, price is trading lower, right? You could either take the next time price makes a higher high on the 8-hour price bar. So it might not be during this session. It might not be during Asia. It might be overnight during London. Or you could also come down to a lower time frame here, maybe even the 4-hour, and then once price makes a higher high on the 4-hour, take that trade because you're coming off the 8-hour entry from my entry. So what I recommend, what I would do is wait for price to give a type of signal that it's actually reversing and starting to make a higher high than the previous price bar. Otherwise, there's the possibility price could keep falling otherwise. Right now it's dropping. $120.38. Yep. That 120.38 looks like you have this support. Yeah, it's not clear in this area, but I see it. And then over here, it's resistance. So yeah, absolutely. And that's why if you are using the 8-hour time frame and you're waiting for a higher high, that's going to clear you above there. Jeff, that's entirely valid. If that's what you're looking to do, is wait to get above that. There is definitely resistance over at 120.38. And if you want to wait for price to get above it to get into that trade, absolutely. That's a good place for an entry. This is the one I'm stalking. I'm hoping this rolls over to get short here. We don't have anything on the calendar. We do have the CPI tomorrow morning on the Canadian dollar, but this is the bigger one. The FOMC meeting minutes is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then later in the week, we have over here on Friday, overnight in the European session, we have the services PMI out of France, and then the German manufacturing PMI. Those are big ones that could definitely move the euro. And then we also have manufacturing PMI. Friday's a big day out of the US dollar. So we're going to see a lot of movement happening on Friday. What does that mean? Oftentimes before big news events, you'll see the day before price, positions get squared up and price kind of stall out. Expect a lot of that happening on Thursday. You want to be wary about taking any trades on Thursday, right? Right now we are on Tuesday, and any trades that are, you have a couple of days for trades to develop to be able to either take some profits or tighten up some stop losses. But just be wary on Thursday, always looking ahead, knowing what's coming up on the calendar so that you could trade accordingly. All right, everyone. I think that's it for today. I thank you all for being here and joining me for the live stream. Again, the first 20 minutes of the live stream definitely are good to review as they cover each currency pair for the day, going over what we're looking at, which positions we're managing, which ones we're watching for setup. The only new setups that I'm looking for right now today are on the Euro US dollar. I am looking for a short trade. If price gets me into that trade, there is also a possible short trade developing on gold. I'm not looking to enter it myself, but I want to point it out because it is a beautiful trade. We have this downtrend. We have price trading up at this resistance level. So this is, it's a really good trade because you have that defined risk. You're wrong if we trade above this level over here. You have a lot of room to the downside if that trade develops, right? You have the first area to look for take profits, probably right around here at 1457, 1460, and then right after there, even lower, and then down there. It's a good trade. I'm just tied up in some other trades, so I'm not looking at it. I'm currently in the US dollar, Japanese yen, long off of the lower support line of this channel in this rising wedge pattern, and also on the euro Japanese yen, same thing. We're bouncing off the lower support here of this channel, and price is currently at this resistance, getting caught up a little bit. It's in a little tricky area, but I have a long trade that I entered here. And then I'm also playing the first pullback of this breakout on the pound US dollar. I got my hands full. And also here on the pound Japanese yen, same exact trade as the pound US dollar. So that's where I'm at this morning. We have later today, this afternoon, releasing a video on, I don't know if I could pronounce his name correctly. He's appeared on Shark Tank. He's a billionaire, venture capitalist out of the Valley, Chris Sacca. And it's an interview where he discusses his experiences day trading while actually a student in college. He was able to go ahead from nothing, trade up all the way to $12 million, and then ultimately lost it all and ended up $4 million in debt. So I'm going to go ahead and share that with all of you later. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.